time to move on. I want to talk about DPR IAN. As you know, this show is about K-pop, but I also want to talk about people kind of on the fringes of K-pop, or maybe not in K-pop at all, but it's Korean music and some might lump it in. I want to give as many people a chance to have their music talked about. And most of you are familiar with DPR IAN. DPR IAN, if you're not familiar with the world of him, buckle up, get ready. He was originally a K-pop group member. He was a rapper and the leader of a boy group called C Clown. They disbanded in 2015, and when the group disbanded, he started this kind of creative group with his friends. It's called the Dream Perfect Regime, DPR. And the other members, Cream, Live, Rem, they all have DPR in their name too. So a lot of times, DPR Live and DPR IAN, they've been touring and doing all these shows. This is the third solo release from IAN. It's called Dear Insanity. He gave us 7 songs. 2 songs were released prior to the album, Peanut Butter and Tears and So I Danced. The album release single is called Don't Go Insane. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay. The drama of this song. The start, it's really bare. It's just some piano chords and his voice. It pulls you in. And then you get this like dark, foreboding organ. The intensity is ramped up. It's really cool. And he's singing Bless My Heart When the Wolves Take Me Away. Ooh, there is drama going on here. It's so interesting. I think it's like at 45 seconds, the beat finally drops. And yeah, this chorus, the chorus brings a really fun element to like the madness of the song. The bass line, you got to talk about the bass line and the bridge. And then there's like heavy breathing. It's so interesting and intense. And then there's the synth mixed in. If there's one thing DPR IAN does, he mix it. There's a lot happening in his songs that you don't hear a lot of. You know, like I feel like if somebody else did that, you'd be like, wait, what's happening? Or what is this? He's doing, it's like operas almost. There's such beauty and texture and so much happening. It's really, really cool. And if you've seen him live, I've been blessed enough to see him live. He plays the bass. He'll come out and play the bass. So when I heard this kind of bass solo start during the bridge, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This is stunning. It's stunning. It's so, so interesting and unique and cool. He's the most slept on artist out there. DPR IAN is the most slept on artist out there. And to me, it's not even close. Like this song, Don't Go Insane, it's so innovative and cool and interesting musically, lyrically, everything about this. It's phenomenal. Like this should be a massive hit. Everyone should be obsessed with it. And I love stuff like this and I love what he does because I feel like every time I'm hearing something new, I'll be like, oh my God. And then the strings come in and here's the organ again. And what is that? Is that his voice? Like it's so interesting and different. It's the opposite of like formulaic pop music and K-pop. So there's something really refreshing every time DPR IAN drops. And this one, another hit, my man. It's so good. Let's talk about the music video. He describes himself as a visual artist. He sees everything first. He sees the songs in his head, and he's a filmmaker. He's an editor. You see that with him. Like his stuff, these are short films. They really are. This one you're continuing from Peanut Butter and Tears and So I Danced. And those are a continuation of the Mito and Mr. Insanity storyline from his previous albums. So there's a lot happening. And then this album is a prequel to those 2 albums. It sounds like a lot, and it is. But he's created his own world. He's created this entire universe throughout these 3 albums. And it's so deep and interesting and unique. But what I love about it, you don't have to know. You don't have to be invested in the storyline to enjoy the songs and to enjoy the music videos. I think it just, if you are, it makes them all the more interesting and exciting. But that said, in this music video, it's visually gorgeous. That said, I don't want to spoil too much and like break down the storyline, but I will say it's visually stunning per usual. I love the choreography. I love that he does choreography a lot because he comes off as this like, super handsome, super cool guy. The music isn't K-poppy. He's not afraid to break into dance for these music videos and for these songs. And it's so refreshing to see a guy like him who's not trying to look cool, who isn't afraid to do what needs to be done. And with these songs, you need to dance during that chorus. And his choreography is always like so rhythmic and cool. He embodies everything about the song and what's going on in the music video, which isn't shocking because this is all him. He is creating everything. It's true artistry. I got into K-pop because of the storytelling. BTS, they were my gateway drug, and I loved their storyline. I couldn't believe this beautiful storyline was weaved throughout their music videos. DPR IAN is a phenomenal storyteller. His storytelling throughout these 3 solo albums, it's next level. And I want to talk about this a little bit because the music videos are so different and they feel really intense and beautiful. And to be honest, sometimes scary. It's scary. And he has these 2 characters, Mido and Mr. Insanity, and they're part of his personality. Like he's kind of named them because he's very open about his bipolar. In some ways, I feel like these music videos are a direct glimpse into who he is and into what it's like inside his mind. In him doing this, he's embracing what's happening. He's embracing what's going on. He's not shying away from it. It's fascinating and it's real. And I think his honesty helps a lot of people. And he's not shying away from it or trying to act normal. He's showing us who he is and what's happening in his world and in his mind and what it feels like when Mr. Insanity takes over or Mido's creeping in. It's really fascinating. So I think for a lot of people, he's helping, and he's helping awareness. He's helping someone who doesn't have experience with this see it through the eyes of someone dealing with it. And you can talk about it, you can tell people, but when you show people, when you show it to them, I think it's so impactful. And the way DPR IAN has done that throughout these 3 albums, throughout his career, I'm just really, it's huge. It's really, really important. And it's really cool. And it's, we're lucky that we get to be in his world. Okay, enough of that because I'm talking so much, but I want people to realize what he is doing and why it's so important. And I think why his fans are so enamored with him and really love him and want to protect him. It's just a beautiful soul showing us what's happening. It's really, really cool. I want to talk about the rest of this album, though. Let's get back to the music because on top of the amazing visuals, the music is phenomenal. So it's hard to pick like a favorite. I don't have my traditional picks from Dear Insanity because the whole album is phenomenal. So I'm really going off of the sounds that grabbed me the most. That's it. But really, the whole album's worth a listen. I thought Bad Cold was interesting because it has there's elements in that song, in the music, that reminds me so much of a song by the Psychedelic Furs. If you guys are familiar with the Psychedelic Furs, there's a song called Love My Way that Bad Cold really reminds me of. I love that song. So obviously it worked for me here, that sound and that feeling. Um, Welcome to the Other Side. Ooh, ooh, those strings are so beautiful and so intense. Um, the lyrics set the plot, and then you have this interesting loop in the chorus. Again, he's always doing something that kind of makes my ear stand up and go, wait, what's happening? Oh, wow. Vocally, though, there's a part in this where he's bringing David Bowie. There's a part that goes like, forgive my nightmares that climb through your shadows. And when he sings that climb through your shadows, it's so reminiscent to me of David Bowie. Really cool. I loved it. Um, and then I love that like 2 minutes in, we get this fun beat, and then it's back to chaotic strings, kind of tying together with his vocal part. The electric guitar solo to finish things off. It's a complex track. It's really complex, but it works. It's so cool. Love it. So I Danced, that was previously released before the album released. It's great. Of the two pre releases, this was my favorite. Here he kind of like takes the valve off, lets the pressure off a little bit. These songs are heavy and intense, Welcome to the Other Side and Don't Go Insane. There's intensity happening. With So I Danced, there's like a break. It's a fun sound with interesting lyrics. It's fun. It works, but there is some darkness that comes in there as well. It's kind of the darkness never stays away for too long. He's having to deal with that all the time. And that feels like musically, this is just a metaphor for what his life is like and what he's living. It's so interesting. I could talk about it all night. Peanut Butter and Tears, it sounds like vintage DPR IAN. It's a familiar sound. I like it, but it wasn't my favorite track. The ending track on this one, Violet Crazy, it's so pretty. It's so cool. It's this like dreamy ending. And, I think a lot of this, if I'm being honest, can feel like a nightmare. A lot of it, it's heavy, it's scary. Where did this voice come in from? And oh, wow. And even the fun parts, you're waiting for the other ball to drop sometimes. Violet Crazy, it's like you're floating. It's the happy dream sequence. And it feels kind of like floating through purple clouds, but not like all light purple ones, like different colors, different textures. There's a texture in this song that grabbed my ear. And the more and more I listen to it, I love it. So that one for sure is a pick. Again, the whole album, you have to listen to it. You have to give DPR IAN a chance. I think he's so criminally slept on because he has this visually, his music videos are like nothing else. Sonically, the music is so different and interesting. And then personality wise, he's this really handsome, nice guy with an Australian accent. Like he has everything going for him. And I just wish more people would listen. I have a feeling he's not going to be slept on for long. I think he's at a really interesting point and kind of cusp in his career. I hope I'm right because he deserves it. I listened to the Travis Mills show yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who that is, but he was interviewing DPR IAN on his Apple Radio 1 show. So I tuned in live. First of all, I want to say like shout out to Travis Mills. Like I was tuning in to listen to Ian, but Travis Mills was a great radio host. It's rare to hear people these days that are able to draw in the listener, ask unique questions, make it about the person they're interviewing while still being really personable and involved in the conversation. It was so refreshing to hear that interview of all the like press that DPR has done for this, promotion. I thought, oh dude, you've got to go back to Travis Mills' show. That was really cool. They both like shared a love of hardcore kind of punk bands, and Travis turned him on to one from Australia. It was just a great interview where I felt like I knew more about DPR IAN walking away from it. And as a fan and as someone who's followed his career, I feel like I kind of know everything. I feel like a lot of the stuff that comes out now, I'm like, all right, this was great. So a little aside there, a shout out to him, Travis Mills. Great job. It was just a really nice interview. And again, it's like he's this super nice, interesting person on top of all of this creative stuff that's just like phenomenal. So if you haven't listened, if you haven't given him a chance, I highly, highly, highly recommend DPR IAN. He's a star and he deserves the shine. It's time for my rankings from DPR IAN, Dear Insanity. From my least favorite to my favorite, but honestly, the whole album is no skip. You should listen to it in order. It's phenomenal. It's gorgeous. After you do that, go back and listen to his other two, because this is a prequel that's telling this whole story between Mido, Mr. Insanity. Phenomenal, but I've got to rank them. So number 7, Famous Last Words. That's the intro. It's beautiful, but it's not as involved maybe as some of the other songs. Number 6, Peanut Butter and Tears. Number 5, So I Danced. Number 4, Bad Cold. I liked Bad Cold. Number 3 is Welcome to the Other Side. I've got a flair for drama, and I loved this one. And then it was hard for me to decide, again, similar to NCT this week, it was hard for me to decide between 1 and 2. Number 2 is Violet Crazy. My number 1 song from Mr. Insanity. It's Don't Go Insane. I love this track. I love the music video. This whole project, it's insanely good. I'm so proud of DPR IAN. I'm so proud of you. Great work. If you haven't checked him out, check him out, you guys.